In the early morning hours of Valentine's Day 2019, a woman named Olivia Jones walked the aisles of a local supermarket known as HEB Plus in preparation for dinner with her husband Chris. As she gathered the ingredients, she observed a bouquet of pink and red roses, colors that symbolize tenderness and passion. As Olivia exited the store with the roses in her cart, she was unaware that in less than 40 minutes, she would be dead. A horrible consequence of so-called toxic love. The police would find her on her bedroom floor in a quiet neighborhood in Beaumont, Texas. 11 minutes earlier, her loving husband Chris dialed 911.
Beaumont 911, what is the address of your emergency?
Olivia! Please, hurry. Customer take the gun.
Tell me what's going on.
I'm at home. My wife been shot in the head. Please.
Somebody shot in the head.
My wife, please.
Tell me,
okay.
Where is she shot?
In the head.
Okay, where in the head?
Take it and it went off.
Okay. I want you to try to control the bleeding.
As soon as the call disconnected, officers headed on their way to the Beaumont, Texas home of Chris and Olivia, located at 5575 Pine Burr Boulevard. At 8:55 a.m., they arrived. Officer Otis Butler was met by a familiar face, 40-year-old Christopher Ray Jones, who was visibly distressed. Officer Butler was close friends with Chris and his wife Olivia. His body cam was rolling while Chris urged the officers to hurry into the house.
She in my bedroom. Where's the gun?
In the bedroom, broken down on the dresser. Come this way.
Okay.
Please, come this way. This way.
Okay.
Please. Olivia!
As alluded to earlier, the officers made their way to the bedroom and found Olivia lying on the floor.
Baby!
Sir. Okay. Step back.
What's up, Mr. Butler? I tried to take it.
Get his.
Mom!
Olivia was found face down with a gunshot wound to the back of her head. Astonishingly, she was still breathing. When the officers rolled her over, they discovered that the bullet had pierced through her right eye. The room she was found in was covered in blood, with spatter all over the walls. The paramedics arrived, and while they tended to Olivia, the police secured the area. Officer Butler had Chris walk him through the events leading up to the shooting.
What happened? We had a disagreement. And I say, baby, if you're not working with me, you're working against me. I say, we've been doing this. My 19-year-old stepdaughter was 8. My 11-year-old was 1. I say, Olivia, we can't get it together. We can't be together. Okay. We got several. And I say, I just want a divorce. And her reaction was, she got the gun? I said, give me the gun. She like, I don't remember which hand. I'm like, give me that gun. What is you doing? Stop trying to scare me. I took it.
So when you grabbed it, it went off?
She yanked. I grabbed it and she yanked back. And the gun went off.
Okay.
The gun went off.
Chris's story immediately set off red flags. How could such a large man be overpowered by his significantly smaller wife? Chris dropped to his knees in anguish, but there were no tears as he asked Officer Butler if he could go check on Olivia.
Mr. Butler, I got help.
No. You don't need to go in there, okay?
Is she alive?
Yeah, she is.
She is.
We got him.
Is she alive, Mr. Butler? Please don't tell me she's alive and she's not.
Yeah, when I saw her, she was.
She was talking?
She wasn't talking.
Is she breathing?
It looked like she was breathing, yeah.
Ooh, good.
Don't go in there, sir.
Please.
Sir, I need you to stay right here with me, okay? And calm down.
Calm down.
Upon learning that Olivia was still breathing, Chris's reaction seemed strangely devoid of relief or happiness. Another red flag for Officer Butler. Back inside the home, Olivia's wounds proved to be fatal, and just after 9 a.m., she was pronounced dead. Officers searched the rest of the home and noticed that in addition to the surveillance cameras installed on the exterior of the house, there were 2 more cameras mounted in the living room, monitoring the interior of the house as well. They also discovered the gun that Olivia was shot with, a 9mm pistol covered in blood. However, they found it strange that the gun was in a different room from where the shooting took place. If Olivia was holding the gun when it went off, how did it end up in a different room? The only logical answer was that Chris must have moved it. Following this discovery, the officers decided that the best course of action was to detain Chris until they had a better understanding of what really happened. As Chris was getting handcuffed, his 19-year-old daughter, Arielle, arrived at the house. She had already been contacted by Chris, who told her what had happened. She was clearly devastated.
There she goes.
Go with this officer right here.
While the officers tried to console Ariel, Chris was escorted to the back of a police cruiser. Lead Detective Mendy Freeman and Sergeant Yvette Barrero of the Forensics Unit arrived at the residence and were immediately caught up to speed.
According to him, she grabs a 9mm in their bedroom. She did that. He claims he reached for the gun to try to get it from her. And when he reached for it and they struggle over it, boom.
At that moment, Olivia's sister Angela arrived at the scene, and Ariel once again broke out into hysterics. All of the evidence was collected and sent to the crime lab. Chris was brought down to the station where they took photos of his hands still covered in blood.
They're waiting for the lead detectives. They're going to be the ones that actually interview you, so.
When the detectives finally arrived at the station, they started Chris's interview by asking him what caused the argument. He said that he felt as if Olivia wasn't pulling her weight in the relationship.
I am very particular. If you heard that, that's true. I am very particular. You strive for the best for people. I work really hard, and I don't make excuses for myself, and I don't accept excuses for anybody else.
After telling her that he wanted a divorce, she went to the bedroom and grabbed the gun.
What did you say?
Really? You serious? Really? This is not going to solve anything.
Okay.
You know, this is not, you do not want to do that. Put that freaking gun down before you make a mistake and hurt yourself. She was crying. She was crying.
Chris handed over his cell phone, which had access to the home security camera footage.
Say you want to access just that camera. You touch that. And that's just that camera. Okay. You follow what I'm saying?
So far, let's go back to devices.
Yes, sir. And everything is labeled.
Carport, backyard, front door, back door, laundry room, inside garage, living room, kitchen.
The police examined this footage, hoping to corroborate Chris's story. At 8:41 a.m., Olivia can be seen going about her morning routine in the kitchen. Then, all of a sudden, the footage cuts out. 3 minutes later, at 8:44 a.m., the video is back up, and Chris is captured frantically pacing around the house while on the phone with 911. 11 minutes later, at 8:55 a.m., the responding officers can be seen entering the residence. That means that Olivia must have been shot during this 3-minute gap in the footage. In the interrogation room, Chris was asked why this footage was missing. He claimed that he had no idea.
We're still trying to pull up these videos here. Why would there be no recordings on them?
I don't know. It should be. Everybody that went in that house should be on it. But like I said, the internet, you can go through days and it pretty much does it. We shouldn't have bought that. You just keep, like, you can pick whatever day you want and it's never going to be consistent. That's why I say it was a waste of money.
Well, I'm wanting desperately to find some video on here that corroborates what you're telling us, but almost all the videos start right after this event happened.
Chris had a bunch of excuses, from internet problems to not charging the camera properly. But at this point, the detectives were taking anything Chris said with a grain of salt. It seemed more likely that Chris, the only one with access to the footage, had tampered with it. Since they did not have the video, they had Chris reenact the moment that he tried to disarm Olivia.
Now go ahead and do my initial. She pulls it. Give me the. Okay. And I go. I'm sorry.
You're good.
No, you're good.
I don't sit here.
I'm sorry. You're fine.
I like the chair, man.
I'm reliving it.
You are.
I'm reliving it.
So she should be shot in the back of her right head.
Did you feel me twist your? Did you feel me twist?
Back here.
Did you feel me twist your? I twisted.
With each question asked, it seems as if Chris was improvising the answer, actively trying to make the puzzle pieces fit together rather than telling the truth. The detectives ended their initial interview feeling more suspicious of Chris than ever. They then moved on to other members of the family, starting with Olivia's sister, Angela.
Olivia Jones is her sister, right? We've been talking a lot lately. We talk every day. I drop her baby to her at the tax office. She's always been timid about everything. But she was the type that whatever went on in their home, she would keep it there.
Yeah, she's kind of a private
private person.
Yeah.
She loved her baby so much. that she thought she had to live for them. You know, she would never.
Angela went on to reveal the extent of Chris's control over Olivia.
She can't talk on the phone after a certain time. He controlled the finances. He never wanted to be in the presence of her family reunions, anything. He never came. But she would have to step off, and when he would call, and all you could hear was him screaming and yelling on the phone. His character is agitation. Like, his character is to be aggressive. I just don't get it. Because all she wanted, my sister was a married type. All she wanted was to be loved. Yeah. She loved love. Like, she loved her babies. She wanted to live for her babies.
To make matters worse, Chris's ex-wife Letitia, who he initially met back in 1999, corroborated his pattern of controlling and aggressive behavior.
I met Chris Jones in 1999. It was just like a constant fight. Like, he strangled me, choked me out, drugged me through the house. My skin was missing off my back. One time he bit my hand. He had this bite marks in my hand. This was what it was. If the house not clean, he's told me that he would kill me if I was to ever leave him. Told me how he would do it. The reason I never said anything or went for help was because I was extremely in fear of my life. Because I knew and I felt in my heart that he would kill me.
And most damning of all were the allegations made by Olivia's daughter Arielle during her interview. She explained what it was like living at the house with her mom and Chris.
One time they were arguing and I heard her say she couldn't breathe. I would see bruises on her. It broke her down to the point where she believed what he said. Mm-hmm. You won't be nothing without me, stuff like that. Right. Everybody knows my mom. Everybody knows my mom. Everybody knows that we were her world.
With each person interviewed, the allegations against Chris were stacking higher and higher. They doubled back with him, urging him to tell the truth about what actually happened to the missing footage.
To be honest, videos.
I look guilty. I deleted those videos. I look guilty.
Not if you say right now, what you just say a little while ago, I freaked out, I panicked, I did some stuff I shouldn't have done. Is that one of them?
Yes.
How many did you delete?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just afraid of being blamed for something I did do something that looks really bad on me.
While the confession was a much-needed win for the detectives, there was still no trace of those crucial 3 minutes of footage. However, the detectives did their due diligence. They spent the days combing through all available footage from the house to see for themselves what daily life was like for the Jones family. In these recordings, the true nature of Chris and Olivia's relationship was on full display.
Then you're gonna be looking stupid. Look on the floor. Look on the floor. Look on the floor, Mike. Look on the floor. Look on the floor. Look on the floor. Look on that. Why is that like that? You're not paying attention. Look, please.
Okay, please.
You wasn't worried about the son of a bitch a minute ago. That's your mother. No. Look at me like that, bitch. I'm not playing with you. Lazy. You want to do something, not enough? Give it here. You got all the goddamn answers. You don't do a goddamn thing around this. Right. This your ass, bitch. That's clean dish. That's clean.
I didn't want to. They fell on the floor, so I didn't want to reuse them.
You look at it. You don't pay attention to what the f*** you doing. You all over the place, Olivia. You ain't got the chance to claim your f***ing off. Food on the wall. Who you bringing now?
Me.
Harriet don't live here. It's you. It's always been you.
Chris would take any chance that he could to bully Olivia, constantly putting her worth into question, even humiliating her in front of her own daughter.
When I got to show ass, you didn't have a job. You collected unemployment. You just had off. And most men in this world want a woman that got what? You wouldn't be doing this if I wouldn't have got upset. You would have bagged that. Life would be so much easier for me if you start thinking. You do dumb because you don't think.
This footage shed light on Chris's true colors and confirmed the allegations of abuse from Olivia's family. Detectives also looked into Chris's criminal records and discovered that he had a history of violent charges, including multiple assaults in 1996 and a domestic assault in 1998, which landed him in jail for a brief period of time. Even though they were still waiting for ongoing forensic analysis results, authorities believed that they had enough evidence to place charges against Chris.
News this morning, a Beaumont man is now facing murder charges in a Valentine's Day shooting of his wife. Police say this man, Christopher Ray Jones, who worked as a correctional counselor at the Beaumont Federal Prison, killed his wife, Olivia.
Chris was charged with first-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter in April of 2019. But unexpectedly, within 24 hours after being charged, he was released on a $150,000 bond and was put under house arrest with a GPS monitor.
Now a man charged with murdering his wife is back at their home.
40-year-old Christopher Ray Jones was arrested and charged with shooting his wife in the face on Valentine's Day. His bond was set at $150,000. He paid and is now out.
Many taking to social media to voice their concerns, stating things like, "Can't believe he's out on a $150,000 bond. That's crazy. What's wrong with our system?" And, "Can't believe they would make his bond so low that he got out. He should not be walking the streets."
While out on bail, Christopher was allowed to continue operating the Jones family business, a food truck called One Plate at a Time. The judge allowed Chris to work while out on bail since the food truck is directly beside his home. However, this decision was controversial amongst Olivia's family and the community. They knew Chris was the only person with Olivia at the time of her death, and they all seemed to believe that he had killed her.
This food truck on Concord Road in Beaumont is a hot topic on social media. It's not generating rave reviews from many, but condemnation from a grieving family.
I don't see how would anyone want to support someone who murdered their wife on Valentine's Day, which is a day that we are supposed to celebrate love. And the day that she was going to celebrate that with him, he decides to take her life.
Chris's image was tainted even further when the results from the crime lab came in. The bloodstain patterns at the crime scene indicated that the gunshot wound could not have happened in the way that Chris described it. Additionally, investigators found no gunshot residue on Olivia's hands, indicating that there was no way she was holding the gun when it went off. There was, however, gunshot residue on Chris's hands and clothing. Despite all of the evidence pointing towards Chris, he pled not guilty to his charges. But before his trial would take place, Olivia's family held a gathering to honor her memory.
This Valentine's Day,
Praying for you.
purple and red balloons filled Rogers Park.
Purple means domestic violence, and red was one of her favorite colors.
1 year ago today, Joshua Simmons lost his sister.
Valentine's Day was one of her favorite holidays.
I would give almost anything to have her back right now.
What's this year been like for you and your family?
If you can wrap it up in one word, it would be frustrating.
Frustrated with the fact that Jones isn't behind bars. Now the family wants to raise awareness for domestic violence, but more than anything, they want justice for Olivia.
We want him to spend the rest of his life in prison, while my sister spend the rest of her life in the grave.
After finally having an opportunity to celebrate Olivia's life, her loved ones would once again have to face her death during Chris's upcoming trial. The courtroom was packed with family members from both sides. It had been over 3 years since Olivia's death, and despite the clear tension between the two families, they all wanted the same thing: justice for Olivia. Prosecutors Jimmy Ham and Mike Laird described Chris as an abusive partner with a violent past, and it was only a matter of time before something like this happened. Chris's defense attorney, Ryan Gertz, argued that Chris only grabbed the gun because Olivia was recklessly handling the weapon, putting both herself and Chris in a dangerous predicament. Forensic pathologist Celestina Rossi provided critical bloodstain analysis and confirmed that Olivia did not have any gunshot residue on her, contradicting the defense's claims that her death was merely an accident. The testimonies and evidence combined ultimately overpowered the defense team, and on February 8, 2022, Christopher Ray Jones was found guilty for the murder of his wife, Olivia Jones.
1,118 days. That's how long Olivia Jones's family says they've waited for this moment. The moment when Olivia's husband, Christopher Jones, was found guilty of murder. Olivia died at the hands of her husband on Valentine's Day 2019, and instead of spending a lifetime behind bars,
we elected to agree with the state to a 30-year sentence because of the potential risk of, an even higher sentence.
In exchange, Christopher waived his right to appeal the conviction. After the judge handed down this sentence, Olivia and Christopher's 2 daughters took the stand. Looking directly at their father, they described the impact of Olivia's death. The youngest daughter, who was only 11 when her mother died, said, quote, "I'll forgive you one day, but right now I can't." Throughout the trial, the prosecution described a history of abuse that finally blew up. Defense attorney Ryan Getz argued a different version of events.
I think that we'll never know what happened in that room. Ultimately, my impression from the jurors is that they just didn't believe Chris's version of events, and that really only left the one alternative.
This was an emotional day for Olivia's family. As they were leaving the courtroom, they were encouraging each other, saying, "Today was all about Olivia, and she won."
Christopher Jones is currently serving his sentence in the John M. Wynn Unit in Huntsville, Texas.
I know that Naomi would not run away from home. I done looked underneath the bed, I done looked in the closet, I've looked everywhere. I was like, well, maybe she's just hiding, planning to go sleep with you in the house. He's like, no, mama, she's not here.
She's got to be somewhere in some water and some wood somewhere, but I didn't think it was going to be like.
Pulled up and smelled something. I thought it was a hog. I walked back up the rail just a little bit. Yeah. It wasn't a hog.
When 12-year-old Naomi Jones woke up on May 31st, 2017 at her home in Pensacola, Florida, she had no idea the horror waiting just around the corner. Later that day, her mother received a call from Naomi's 2 younger brothers. They were fine, but there was no sign of Naomi, who was in charge of watching over them. As an investigation into her disappearance gets underway, those looking for Naomi have no idea just how close she is the entire time.
I had 2 missed calls and I thought it was, I was like, who is this number? And then I realized through text messages, I was like, oh, that's let me call him back. And it was, and it was like, Mom, I ain't seen Naomi. I done looked underneath the bed, I done looked in the closet, I've looked everywhere. I was like, well, maybe she's just hiding, planning to go sleep with you in the house. He's like, no, Mama, she's not here.
Knowing her 12-year-old daughter would never abandon her brothers under anything less than extreme circumstances, Naomi's mother, Shantara Hurry, left work and rushed home to search for her daughter. When there was no sign of Naomi, Shantara called the police to report her missing. Authorities took the report of a missing child seriously and jumped into action. Right away, they began canvassing the apartment complex where Naomi and her family lived and surrounding neighborhood, as well as organizing a foot search. Their efforts quickly turned up some distressing evidence. Outside the complex on the side of the road was a lock of dark brown hair. Naomi had a hair weave, and investigators suspected that this hair could have been torn or pulled free during a struggle. This theory was further supported when they found an additional lock of hair some feet away in the grass. Police, along with Naomi's friends and family, distributed missing person posters around the area. They also interviewed all of the residents at the apartment complex, including Naomi's younger brothers. Because they were the last to see Naomi before she vanished, it was important that police learn everything they could from the boys. However, interviewing a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old was no simple task. Most of the following footage has never been seen before.
I was in the bathroom there. My sister had walked outside and my brother told me Naomi's coming. And I went outside to look and then I called my mom.
What did you use to call her?
my next door neighbor's phone.
Were there any other phones in the house?
My sister's phone.
Tell me how come Naomi didn't take her phone?
I think it was because she wasn't going anywhere. For she takes her phone everywhere with her.
Mm-hmm.
While the boys were being questioned, police also took the opportunity to speak more with Shantara. She was more certain than ever that Naomi had not left home by choice.
I know that Naomi would not run away from home. I also know that if it was somebody that she knew, she still would not have left her two siblings at home by themselves. If they feel any unction that Naomi is going somewhere, they hop right up, they're her shadow. You get what I'm saying? So I'm even wondering if my baby even has shoes on. Because I'm looking at all her shoes and whatever, and I don't see any shoes missing. You get what I'm saying? Like, if her not to say, Naomi, I'm going with you. It was nothing that gave my 4-year-old the unction that Naomi was really going far.
In addition to insight into Naomi's character, Shantara was also willing to share some of her suspicions about who may have been involved in Naomi's disappearance. The person of most interest, according to her, should be Naomi's father, Robert Jones.
What's your gut tell you about this whole thing?
Robert, I just want to try to figure out who lured her. It's not really much that can really lure her in either besides her father. The person who she longs to get her attention from, the person she hasn't seen in so long.
The police dutifully followed up with Naomi's father. Despite Shantara's certainty that he may have been involved, police found nothing to suggest that was the case. With his alibi verified, investigators moved on to questioning all of those in Naomi's immediate vicinity. Combined with an ongoing foot search for Naomi, this was no small task, and the FBI soon joined the search for Naomi. In addition to conducting interviews, police obtained search warrants for several nearby units. One such unit belonged to Lauren. Police were particularly interested in her apartment as it had a direct line of sight to Naomi's back deck, where the girl was known to often dance. They were concerned that her dancing could have attracted unwanted, inappropriate attention. In the course of searching the apartment, investigators discovered that Lauren's boyfriend, Robert Howard, spent a good deal of time at the residence, despite having his own home about an hour away.
How long have you been with Robert?
About 2 years.
About 2 years? Okay. Let's go back to, obviously this has been in the news for a week now about the little girl at your apartment complex, Naomi. What kind of girl was she? Was she friendly? Was she kind of...
She seemed like she was kind of friendly, just like a little girl. She would just, do like little dances on the back patio if I was out washing or before my washer broke.
Does Robert live with you?
No.
So explain to me how that works out, because he's up in Bruton at work and he also keeps a place up there too.
Mm-hmm.
Like averaging a week, how many times do you stay the night at your house?
He always stays Friday and Saturday night because he's off. But
just depending on his work schedule, he'll come. And if you're at work, does he stay there without you sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
The story will only take a bizarre turn from here. In the course of performing due diligence, police looked into Robert, and what they found sent alarm bells ringing.
What do you know about his past?
I know that he got convicted back in the late 90s, right after high school.
Do you know the details of it at all? Or what he's told you?
Some details on that. There was a girl who accused him of her and not being able to afford any kind of lawyer or anything like that. He just, he gave you a privilege to come down. He was telling me about witnesses that wouldn't take his witnesses on his side, and they just listened to her, whoever that her people had for her.
In 1999, Robert Howard was convicted of 2 counts of assault in the state of Alabama. He served 15 years in prison, before being released on probation in 2014. Since then, he'd been registered as an offender. Upon learning this, police were immediately suspicious that he could have been involved in Naomi's disappearance and brought him in. Robert informs the police that he was at the gym on the morning of the incident and returned to Lauren's apartment around 11 a.m. Soon after, he went to see Lauren at work, and both returned home half an hour later as Lauren wanted to change her shirt. He further shares that they were only at the apartment for a short time and left again around noon so Lauren could go back to work. Robert tried to go to the dollar store but chose to stay in his car when it began storming. It seemed that Robert had a solid alibi for the entire day Naomi went missing.
After that, I headed on out to Bruton to go see a friend before they went to a funeral.
This is where investigators began to question the series of events. According to Robert, he left Pensacola to visit a friend in Bruton, then turned around and drove an hour all the way back to Pensacola, then went back to Bruton again to clock in for work. It was clear that something wasn't adding up.
How come on Wednesday you went to Bruton, came home just to get your stuff, and then went right back to work?
I went to see my friend.
Uh-huh.
I mean, this is somebody that my girlfriend knows nothing about, so I went to see her. Because like I said, her uncle had passed. I'm going to see her.
Right. How come you didn't take your stuff with you, then? That just seems like a whole lot of driving to me.
I do a lot of driving, believe it or not. But, I mean, I was dressed. I mean, I just didn't have my boots or my rain gear. So, I had to come back to get that.
Do you know who Naomi is?
Yes, I know exactly who she is. I see her. Well, you see her every time we're in and out the apartment. Her and her brother, they're either out there playing with their dog, or they're on that back balcony, or they're in between the apartments playing.
Had you seen her at all that day?
No, ma'am. I ran into, I don't know the little girl's mom name, but her and another older lady as I was getting ready to get into the car to head back to Bruton for work. And that's when she asked me, have I seen her daughter? Yeah, I was coming down the steps as I put my boots in the back seat, and I was getting ready to get into the car. Actually, her friend that was with her asked me first, have I seen a little girl? And I'm like, well, no, ma'am, I just came out the apartment. And she was like, well, it's my daughter. And I'm like, well, no, ma'am. She's like, well, she's missing. And I stood there and talked with them for a minute before I left.
This incident would have chilling implications later. While it was odd, it was far from a reason to detain Robert further. Police would confirm his alibis, but for now, they focused their attention on those closer to Naomi. For example, they interviewed Shantara's ex-boyfriend, Bruce.
Naomi's birthday was fit to come up, and she asked me for a pair of Space Jam Jordan shoes.
But you said you were just over there at like a little cookout or something, right? Like a month ago?
No, her mom called me over there. They was cooking shrimp and fish or something like that. And I went over.
Naomi texted you wanting certain shoes.
Yeah, she wanted the shoes, the Space Jams. And I said, since you've been good and you kept your grades up, I said, listen to your mama, obey your mama, follow what your mama say, and I get you them shoes. Then her mom's fall out. I don't text her nothing because she's saying I owe her $70.
According to what Bruce told police, his conversation with Naomi was simply his attempt to be a positive influence in her life. He also stated that he'd recently come back in contact with the family and thought they were on good terms. But when Shantara told him to stop talking to her daughter, he said that he respected her wishes and ceased all contact. Before parting ways with the investigation, Bruce gave some insight into Naomi's behavior.
Let me tell you something. Naomi don't go nowhere, sir. She don't let them kids out the house.
The boys were home. They stayed in the house.
Naomi don't go outside like that. Naomi like the phone. She like computers. She like to be in her room. She like to be by herself.
You ever see her go anywhere without her phone?
The phone was left in the house.
No.
It seemed that everyone who knew Naomi was sure that she would not wander off on her own. As time ticked on with no further signs of Naomi, the case was looking increasingly grim. The foot search continued, expanding to cover a 3-mile radius surrounding Naomi's home. But despite the monumental effort of the local police and the FBI, nobody could find any trace of Naomi. Police went through her phone and contacts. There they discovered messages from a man by the name of Tridarius Gray, who at 18 was 6 years older than Naomi. When they looked into the relationship further, investigators saw a few potential red flags and headed out to his residence to get some answers.
Okay, Tridarius, so you know Naomi, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know Naomi?
Went to school with her.
Okay, what grades were you in school with her?
I was in 8th, and I don't know what grade she was in.
Okay, she would have been elementary? Okay. And so you've known her for how long, would you say?
3-4 years.
Okay. So with that friendship that y'all kind of have, is it just like a close friendship? Y'all text every now and then? Kind of describe your relationship with her.
No, she just takes me out of nowhere.
While it was ultimately determined that Tridarius had nothing to do with the Naomi Jones case, this wasn't the last time he would be under police scrutiny. Almost 5 years later, in 2022, Tridarius Gray was involved in a serious crime where he shot his ex-girlfriend, Jacavia Simmons, and then took his own life. For Naomi's case, however, one phone call was about to change the trajectory of the entire investigation. On June 5th, less than a week after Naomi went missing, 2 individuals contacted emergency dispatch to report a gruesome discovery that would change everything.
Are you
Hell do we like to have this fish so much?
You guys were fishing?
No.
No?
We work together, and we really like to fish. Well, you know, that bridge has just been complete recently that I remember, and we were right there and we wanted to stop. You know, it's like, hey, we'll go check that out on the way back, because we were 2 blocks up the road on the corner putting in a garage door. Well, we finished and said, okay. So we pulled over. And we pulled over, you know, just to look, because we like to fish. That's something that's one of the perks of our jobs, is we can stop and fish.
Mm-hmm.
Well, pulled up and smelled something. I thought it was a hog, you know, because the color and everything. I thought somebody had skinned a hog. Well, walked back up the rail just a little bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't a hog.
Yeah.
Tragically, what they discovered in the water was none other than the remains of Naomi Jones. Her body was in an advanced state of decomposition, which, combined with shock, is likely why the men did not immediately recognize what they were seeing.
I mean, we didn't go down. We knew as soon as we saw it, you know, both started calling 911. And we both knew what we had to do and just sat right there and waited. We didn't want to move, but the initial, before we even saw what was happening, we both leaned over the rail to look at the water.
Yeah.
And caught it.
Crime scene officials rushed to secure the area and recover her remains. Naomi's body was found floating in the water below 8 Mile Bridge, about 4 miles from her home. The foot search for Naomi had only covered 3. Naomi was wearing the red tank top she had last been seen in, but her American flag print shorts and underwear were missing. After locating the body, investigators likely weren't surprised when the medical examiner ruled Naomi's death a homicide. Now that they know they were hunting a killer, the entire investigation shifted. And as it so happened, Naomi's neighbor Robert Howard had never really left the police's radar. Part of Robert's previous statement had raised a red flag for investigators.
I was coming down the steps as I put my boots in the back seat, and I was getting ready to get into the car.
On its own, this statement is unimportant. Police likely wouldn't have noticed anything wrong with it if Robert hadn't contradicted himself just a few minutes later.
I mean, I was dressed. I mean, I just didn't have my boots or my rain gear.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to come back to get in.
When he was brought back to the station, Robert was left alone for about half an hour before detectives started what would turn out to be an exhausting, frustrating, and disturbing interrogation.
Let me take that. Yeah.
Is it all right if I just stand up in the room and stretch my legs and stuff like that?
Yeah, he's going to come in and get your buckles in a second. But yeah, you can get up and stretch your legs.
That I'm all on back 4?
What's that? Buckles? Well, we're just going to, go over some of the stuff. The other investigator talked to you earlier this morning. Mm-hmm. I had a chance to read over everything, and I had a couple questions I didn't get to ask you because I was busy. Okay. All right.
Once the DNA collection is complete, investigators then casually mention his Miranda rights before commencing what will likely be one of the most harrowing interrogations they have ever conducted.
The missing girl, have you ever seen her around the complex or?
See her all the time when we were in and out. They would always speak whenever we would come in and out. Other than that, everybody.
She dances a lot back there, doesn't she?
On the balcony.
Well, they be back there playing most of the time when I see them as far as dancing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Was she friendly? I mean,
she always spoke. I mean, I say other than that, that's pretty much all I know about her. Like I said, she would always speak. If she seen us, she would speak. Regardless if we seen her or not, she would let us know that she was there. She would speak.
Investigators likely took note of this, and instead of easing off as Robert had likely hoped, they press harder.
Did she ever come over to y'all's apartment or anything?
I've never been to Lauren's. If she has, she's been there when I wasn't there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Lauren told me one day that they missed the bus and they came and used her phone to call their mom and let her know they missed the bus. Other than that, that's all I know about them being there.
Okay.
Have they ever been in your cars?
No.
Either one of your cars?
No.
Did you see that girl that Wednesday at all?
No, sir.
When was the last time you saw her?
I have no idea. It may have been that weekend, maybe, between Friday and Sunday.
How often do you stay at that apartment?
With my regulations of what I can and can't do, I'm allowed to stay anywhere 3 days, no more than 3 days. So I'll stay like 2-3 days at a time. I go home for a day. I can come back for 3 more days. So that's how I usually do.
You said that the missing girl was never in your car or anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
And the only interaction you've had with her is just like...
If I see her, she sees me, or she sees however we were, she speaks. That's it.
Do you hang out in any certain areas of Pensacola, or what do you do when you're here in Pensacola?
We're pretty much at the apartment.
The police ask Robert if he's ever been in the Lincoln Park area. At first, he says no, then eventually concedes that he occasionally goes to church on the outskirts of the neighborhood. The discovery of Naomi's remains in the same area casts further doubt on Robert's initial denial of any connection to that part of the neighborhood, raising further suspicions about his involvement.
Your car, describe it to me. You said it's silver.
It's a silver 2010 Nissan Altima. Nothing special about it. Has a
2-door, 4-door?
4-door, yeah.
4-door. You know, tinted windows, rims.
Tinted windows, no rims.
As the investigators delve deeper, certain details don't only distress them, but also serve to solidify some of their suspicions.
What kind of girls are you into? I mean, what do you like?
Like grown women. I mean, women is my age. I mean, like I really have no preference of what size or, you know, how fat or how skinny, how tall or how thin, but they're gonna be legal. You know, I don't fool with no kids. I don't mess with no teenagers, anything like that.
I got you. I mean, you like younger girls, like?
I mean, I haven't been with anyone younger than Lauren.
What's the youngest girl you've been with?
Lauren is the youngest girl I've been with.
She's 30?
30, yes.
In response, investigators drop a surprise reality check to rattle Robert further.
What if I were to tell you that your car was in the area where her body was found that night?
No, that's impossible.
Why?
I mean, because it could have been.
Why? Tell me why.
Because when I have my car, it's either at work. When I leave work, I come straight back to Avenue, Lauren's apartment.
Did anybody else have your car that night?
No one ever has my car.
So you don't know, does Lauren ever drive your car?
She has a few times, but it's been a little while since she drove my car.
You don't ever loan your car out?
No.
Given his earlier statement about visiting a friend in Bruton for a funeral, police followed up on his alibi in an interview with Yolanda Mitchell, who was willing to challenge part of Robert's statement.
The only reason that I remember May 31st is because that is the day of my uncle's funeral. That's the only reason I remember that day. And he did not know that that was the day of my uncle's funeral. He did not know when I was going. He did not know what time the funeral was going to be. And I told the detectives that called me, I don't delete text messages. So I have all the text messages that we've ever sent to each other. And I think it was about 12:57 that I sent him a text that said, please pray for me and my family. This is going to be hard. And he texted me back like at 1:02 or something like that. I don't remember what he said. He said something about, are you okay? Or do you need to talk? Or something of that nature.
The thing about that is that we already have your phone records.
Okay.
And you were at the apartments at 1:30.
I was gone at 1:30.
Phone records show no, you were there at 1:30. That phone number that you gave me is the phone number we subpoenaed for the records. You were at the apartments at 1:30. You were not in Bruton.
I was on my way to Bruton.
You were. I'm not going to argue with you.
I mean, you don't have to argue, but okay. If you say I was at the apartment, just please search my license. Nothing has been changed in my car since the day that the first officer flipped through it and looked through it. Everything's in there. If you find anything in that car, it's going to be from Yolanda Mitchell, where she sits in that front seat and talks to me. Other than that, that's it.
While Robert insists on his innocence, he likely doesn't know that the investigators have already spoken with Yolanda and gathered more incriminating information against him. She also revealed that he hadn't been completely upfront with the investigators about the nature of their relationship.
What was your relationship with him? It's not going here. It's not going to be anything we're going to ever bring up other than maybe,
friends, but more than friends.
Okay.
Nobody really knew about our relationship.
Okay.
Investigators now get more aggressive in their approach as they push him further to the edge of truth.
I think one or two things happen. You either have a fetish or were attracted to Naomi and you got her to get in your car and things might have gotten, let's say, a little carried away, or either you're just a stone cold killer, man.
Well,
I mean, it's one or the other.
Neither, because I never got her to get in my car. She's never been in my car. That's why I've never cleaned my house. I've never cleaned my car because of that. So I feel like if I clean that car and y'all find it clean, oh, well, he cleaned it before we can get to it. That's why I didn't do that.
Why would you even think?
Because the day that when they looked through the day that they questioned us, I had to get a brake job done. I told.
What day were you questioned?
Friday.
Okay.
And I told the guy, I said, well, I had an appointment to get a brake job done at 10. I said, I'm not leaving because y'all questioned me. The other guy that was with him came, looked through my trunk. He opened my back seat, looked in it, front seat, looked in it. And from that day there, I said, don't clean this car out. Because I feel like, it's eventually going to come. So I'm already, have a status offender. So whatever I have is going to be searched. I feel like that anyway.
Right.
Because I'm already a potential suspect. I guess you say that.
But wouldn't you agree you had time to clean the car before you were even questioned?
Sure, but I didn't. There was no need to. I told Lauren the same thing.
What made you feel that way?
Like I just told you. I feel like, when you look through it, I'm right there at the complex where this child's missing. I'm right there. I'm already, like I said, from the statuses over my head. Already. So I'm right there. So he's right here. So why not just check him out?
Right.
That's why.
What police don't mention is that they've already done exactly that, and what they found inside made their blood run cold.
We have your car on video. We have your phone records that show your exact route from where you were at, from the apartments to Bruton, back down to where she was found, back to... And they show exactly which route you went. You can't deny it. It's your phone number. It's your phone number and your phone records. You could keep denying it, or you can tell me what really happened and give your story of what happened. She's a cute girl. She looks a little older. Maybe you guys had something and...
How can we have something? I've never been around the child.
How do you explain, though? How do you explain that your phone is showing that you're going in those directions? How do you explain
this is showing, if you say you got my car on video and you say this is showing all this, let me see it. Because there's no way that, none of that.
You want to see it?
There's no way.
All right, I'll show you.
What's that?
A Nissan Altima.
Okay, and what is that supposed to mean?
That's your car.
How's it? Okay, so how are you just going to tell me that's my car out of...
It's your car. Because your phone puts you in that exact spot that car is at at the exact time that that car is on that video.
If you say so.
We don't say so. I mean, that's what
It's
the
all in-
evidence says.
That is not my car. That's not my car. That child has never been in my car. I've never had that child in my car. Like I said, me and that child has never been in spitting distance of each other. Never.
While Robert continues to build on his web of lies, investigators have solid proof. According to the medical reports, Naomi had been assaulted before her death. Before even breaking the evidence seal on the door of the vehicle, crime scene investigators noticed what could have been blood on the back end of the vehicle. When police inspected the interior of the car, they found similar stains on the back seat. As Robert fiercely denies ever having Naomi in his car, the investigators, certain they have him cornered, become increasingly confrontational.
So you are a cold-blooded murderer.
Because
you're sitting here deny. You don't care. You just put it like you just deny everything and lie because we have proof that you're lying.
But this child has never been in my car.
To me, a 12-year-old baby is dead, and you're sitting here lying through the whole thing about where you were for some reason.
I've never had
You
her.
must have stashed her somewhere.
I've never had her. She's never been with me.
She has. You killed her.
No, I did not.
What'd you do then?
I didn't do anything.
You were that baby.
Okay. I can't argue with what you think or how you feel about it. I can just.
She just turned 12. She's 11 years old.
I did not touch that child. I did not have that child.
Investigators found a windbreaker on the back seat of his car that was also stained with what could be blood. Chillingly, there was a copy of Naomi's missing person flyer on the dashboard, along with cleaning supplies in the trunk. Also in the trunk alongside the cleaning supplies were a pair of boots that Robert said he'd forgotten at home. A second pair of boots were also in the back seat.
The blood they found on the side of the vehicle.
Only on the side of it.
Yes.
What if I have blood on the side of it?
On the passenger side, in front of the rear tire.
The most damning evidence investigators found while searching Robert's vehicle was blood on the exterior of the car, below one of the back doors. This could have been left when a body was put in or taken out of the vehicle. With all this information, police knew they were on the right track before Robert even started trying to sell them his story.
Was she scared?
I don't know. I'm sure. I didn't have her.
Did she cry?
I didn't have her.
Did she try to fight? I heard she was a fighter.
I never had her, so I don't know. You asking me things that
Did she have a chance to fight?
I don't know. I have no idea. You asking me things that I don't know nothing about. She wasn't with me. I didn't have her, so I don't know what she could have did, fought, cry,
She cried
whatever.
for her mama?
I have no idea.
Did she beg you to stop?
I don't know what you're talking about because she was not with me. She was not with me. All aside, all aside. I said I don't know nothing about this kid.
And that's fine. I just want to know why you were over there.
When I came home, sometimes when I come home at night, I ride around to see what I can find out to hook up with.
Okay.
That's what I was doing.
Did you hook up with anybody that night?
No.
No, you didn't find it? Do you know that area or you just were driving
I just was
around?
driving.
Okay.
Just was driving.
What if I could tell you that you stopped on that bridge?
Where?
Right there where she was found. When you turn off Detroit on Ashland there, you go up past that business a little ways and there's a bridge there with big concrete things and rails on top of it.
Yeah. That's the only time I stopped when I got back after that corner. That stop sign.
You never stopped on that bridge? You sure about that?
Yes.
Thought we were being truthful.
We are.
No, we're not. You stopped on the bridge to put her body in the water. Naomi's body.
Did you throw her over the rail or did you drag her around the side? That's the question I had. I was
didn't throw her on the rail. I didn't drag her around the side. I did not dump nobody. I did not dump a body anywhere. She was not in my car. Anything.
She in your trunk?
No. No. Not at all.
Why are you stopped on that bridge a minute and a half, 2 minutes?
And I did not stop on the bridge.
The video shows otherwise.
Okay.
It's undeniable that you
You
stopped
said a
on
minute
the
and stop, minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Yes.
If something like that was to happen, then you got clear-cut picture if that's the case.
He asked you, why'd you stop?
I did not stop.
The reason police were confident about Robert stopping at the bridge was because a good Samaritan, Charles Wright, had come to their aid. While Charles wasn't directly connected to the investigation, he had an interesting reason for coming forward to speak with police.
What made you go there to look for her?
Because, like I said, I don't know them per se, but if it was somebody in my family, I want somebody to look. And I just, any water, woods that I can think of, that's where I go.
And then you just stopped real quick
Right.
just to check.
Right.
Okay.
Because, I mean, like I was telling her, she's got to be somewhere in some water and some woods somewhere, but I didn't think it was going to be like.
Where you checked.
In a strange turn of events, Charles's assumption that she had to be in water or in the woods was right, and despite a random search, he stumbled upon the exact area Naomi would later be found.
Try to remember exactly what you saw when you looked down. Did anything look disturbed? Anything look out of place? Notice anything just a little off, odd?
Not really, because it also rained Saturday too. If I'm not mistaken, I think it rained Friday too.
I think it rained a lot this week.
Yeah. It's just, sometimes it's just like kind of junky over there anyway. Like I said, people throw debris over there a lot, like deer carcass, stuff like that, trash. But maybe I don't know if I overlooked, but like I said, once you lean over the, nothing. So
While he wasn't the one to discover the body, Charles's knowledge of when her remains weren't in the water was invaluable. Police now knew that the body was likely not disposed of until after Charles checked under the bridge. Thanks to the medical examination, they also knew that the body had been in the water for at least a few days. This put a rough boundary on the period during which the body must have been dumped, a timeline strikingly in sync with Robert's movements that night. As Robert continues to play hardball, investigators pivot to asking him questions that might likely trigger him into confessing.
Do you have problems getting?
Never have. Never have. And as far as me a 12-year-old, I never.
How about you and Lauren?
They don't even, that kind of child don't even appeal to me no kind of way. To the point of I would even think about trying to have with the child. That kind of stuff didn't cross my mind. I know nothing about this child. Who she's been with, where she went, who she went with. I don't know nothing. Nothing. Or any other child for that matter. Had nothing to do with that.
Why would you say any other child?
I'm just saying, just put it out there. Because I've never messed with a child, period. That's why I'm saying it.
Now is your time.
My time for
when we walk out that door, we're done. You're not going to have another chance to tell us your side of the story. I told you I could prove you stopped right around that bridge.
Okay.
And then, not only that, Robert, you stopped on there one time when you're coming back towards Detroit, and a car passes you, and you got spooked, and you go back to Detroit, and it's all on video, this part. You take a left, go down, and pull right in a driveway. Wait just a second, back up. You come back, turn back on the road, and go back to the bridge. And that's when you threw her body over.
Okay. Sounds good.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
How?
Because I never stopped.
You stopped the car. You also pulled out and pulled into that driveway. You know good and well you did. Why'd you do it?
But I didn't.
Then why is your car doing it? Is an alien driving your car?
May have been.
You said nobody else drives your car.
They don't, but hell, I mean, hell, if the alien gets it, I'm pretty sure hell I can't.
You said you're in your car at that time, and you're in that area. So, who the f*** else is driving it?
I have no idea.
You got a dead 12-year-old girl,
okay,
and that's what you're going to go with?
And I'm sorry that she is.
Yeah.
When you're charged with murder?
How about this? She look the same?
She don't look the same. She don't look the same at all. I say, I'm sorry about that, man. But like I say, I have nothing to do with that at all. Nothing.
No emotion. You're just a cold-hearted killer.
Robert has shown Naomi's image from the crime scene, another attempt to get a confession out of him, but it fails to elicit a response.
You know, that right there, not a normal reaction. People don't usually stare that hard
because, I mean,
at
it's
that picture
it's sickening.
as you are.
It's
no, it's not sickening. You're enjoying that.
No, what the hell am I?
You're enjoying that.
I promise you, I give you my
People
word.
usually turn that picture over and they can't even look at it. It's so awful.
I just want y'all to get that tested because, like I said, that is not her blood on my car. That is not hers. Where it comes from, I don't know. But it's not hers.
You don't even care.
Nope.
I understand that you may feel and think that.
No, I know you don't give.
Okay, that's just what I was going to say. You may feel and think that I don't give a. But as I told you before, I mean, I hate this happening to this child. But that's not my doing.
What's
not my doing at all.
What's going to happen is they're going to know that this is how you were acting. This is the denial, the lying, you know, pompous kind of attitude that you're giving.
How is it pompous?
Listen, but when you go up there, and we're going to prove this case. Beyond a reasonable doubt, we're going to prove this case. And when you get up there and you're like, you know, begging, Judge, please don't give me the death penalty. I regret, I feel remorse. I'm sorry to the family. You know what? This right here is going to come into play because this is your true being right here. You don't give a that little girl is dead.
Okay. And you keep saying this. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
Believe me.
you're gonna be begging.
I understand exactly what you're saying. But I'm telling you, this has nothing to do with me. That's why I want you to get out, and I'd be glad when it's done to prove that that blood on that car does not belong to this child. That's why I never cleaned my car, because I figured this would happen.
A short break later, when everyone reconvenes for hour 4 of the interview, the dynamic has changed, and so have the interviewers. The female investigator has been replaced, and the new investigator wastes no time in putting pressure on Robert.
I mean, you know the technology. You watch TV, you see all the... We can put you at the scene, video, and we can also put you there by your phone, right? We can agree on that, okay? You admit to being there. So you probably have the better chance of winning the lottery than you do of being where a girl is picked up and where she is dropped off, murdered, whatever you want to call it, disposed of. Basically like a piece of trash. Thrown over half naked, like a piece of trash. It makes you look like just one sorry bastard.
I did all that stopping. I did all that.
Why?
But I did not dump this body.
Was somebody else with you?
No, no one else was with me.
You were by yourself?
But I was told that something would be there.
What?
It wasn't this when I looked. Well, I didn't see this when I looked.
What was supposed to be there?
It was supposed to be as far as what exactly is it supposed to be something to benefit me? So like that. Something to benefit me, I guess.
Some head?
No, I don't hope not. But it was just supposed to be something, and I should have kept it. It was a note for me. It was a note on the car. All honesty, all aside. I said I never picked her up, never took her anywhere. And it said something to benefit you.
From Naomi?
No. No,
Who's it from?
It didn't have no name from nobody or to nobody. It was just on the car.
That is the absolute worst story I've ever heard in my life.
And I'm telling you the honest, the God truth.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Listen to me.
Okay, I'm listening. Here.
Just listen to me.
Let me hear this.
It's benefit you.
Okay. How's it going to benefit you? Monetarily?
It didn't say. It just said something to benefit you.
As the investigator continues to prod, Robert finally poses the question they'd all been anticipating. A question poised to unveil chilling answers.
They're going to make you out to be the monster on the stand. The only thing that you can say is, I didn't mean for this to happen. And that's what's got to come out of you tonight. I didn't mean for it to happen. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I made a mistake. All's not lost. But tonight's the night. I'm going to help you through it. I'm going to help you through it to take that weight off your heart.
You going to help me through?
Yep.
How you going to help me through?
Because we're going to talk about it. So I give that mama closure. And let her know that you're not the monster that everybody makes you out to be. Because right now, I'm your only saving grace.
I just need some writing saying that, I guess I need to say you can't make me no deals. You can't. I just need something to write and saying.
How about this? We'll talk about this. And I will give you my word that I will go to the state attorney and I will say, he came in here, we did a little dance, but he found it in his heart to talk about this, and he owned up to it. Whatever happens down the road is going to be up to them.
Well, okay, you telling him that, I mean, that's still not telling me or guaranteeing me anything as far as up's industry.
And I can't do that for you, brother. I can't guarantee you anything. I'm not going to sit in here and lie to you and tell you that I can't.
I need a number.
What kind of number?
Like,
Enough on you.
of time.
20 years?
Yeah. I mean, I know that may not mean a lot, but like I said, I mean,
What do you think her life is worth?
Her life is worth more than 20 years. Did they find the candy in her mouth?
Yes.
They found candy in her mouth?
Yes. What was it?
It was candy.
What kind of candy?
I have no idea. I just know she was eating candy.
Finally, after 5 excruciating hours, Robert begins to give police the confession they've worked so hard for. But while he's now approaching the truth of his involvement, some of the details still don't add up, and it only gets more unbelievable.
She had came out, she spoke bad. Said she had like my shoes. And she said something that I didn't understand. Went on to my car. She was like, well, where's Lawrence? I said, Lawrence at work. She said, can I come in with you? And I told her no. And she couldn't come in. She kept on. I let her come over, I kept telling her no. She walked over to the steps as I was going up the steps. And she said, I'm coming in. I said, like, no. The further I went up, the further she came up. I make it to the door, she's at the top of the steps, and I tell her to go back home. Go home. She stands there and she's like, why can't I come in? Why can't I come? I said, because you can't. You don't need to be over here. Leave.
In his version of the truth, Robert portrays himself as the innocent adult who attempted to discourage Naomi's advances, an account as unbelievable as the crime itself.
I really didn't mean for things to go the way they did. I didn't try to hurt the child, but before I realized I had choked her out.
While Naomi's ultimate cause of death was asphyxiation, she bore multiple other injuries, including lacerations to her face, neck, and other parts of her body.
How? Just around the neck?
Around the neck. I choked her out around the neck. And I said I didn't really mean for it to happen. I didn't mean to do it. I heard when she was found. That's why I said I would really like for them to take a DNA test, because they said when she was found, she didn't have on no bottom. She was fully dressed. She was fully dressed. I never took any of her clothes off. I never took anything anywhere. She was fully dressed. I even took her slides and left them with her.
At the creek?
Yes. I choked her out, yes. I'll admit that I did choke her out, but I did not. That's why I stressed them, do a DNA test. No, do this. Like I said, because no, did I have with her in my car? No, I didn't do any of that.
Just put her upstairs?
No, I didn't have with her anyway.
Obviously, she's a good-looking little 12-year-old.
But that for her was not anywhere my intention.
Obviously.
Though it's likely difficult for the detective to talk this way, he's doing everything he can to minimize the crime to get a confession and get justice for Naomi.
Obviously, she's coming on to you. She wants to see her.
That's what she said, but that's not me. I understand.
It is what it is. I mean, she's trying to use it.
But that's not what I wanted from a 12-year-old.
Okay.
That's not what I wanted from a 12-year-old.
So you grab her by the neck, did you shove her against the wall or shove her against the door or what while you were choking her?
In the corner of the wall.
Corner of the wall, behind the door, in the corner? I mean, I guess at some point she went out.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
She went out. I thought she was had just blacked out, but I had choked her pretty damn good to the point where she wasn't breathing.
So she goes out, and then you're like, oh, realize what happened. Then what?
At first, I'm thinking that she's kind of and so when I see that she's not, I really just panicked from that point.
Where'd you put her?
She was in the car.
Where at?
In the back seat.
In the back seat. So you grab her, carry her downstairs, and put her in the back seat?
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't know what to do. I felt if I tried to take her to the hospital, it would say that this is what I was afraid of. If I took her to the hospital, I would end up here.
Right.
Because, okay, I'm going to bring this young girl to the hospital, dead or whatever. So I feel like I just had to, try to get rid of the body.
This adds a horrifying new angle to the case. Thanks to the information provided by Charles, the Good Samaritan who had gone out looking for Naomi, police knew that Naomi's body had not been dropped into the creek until Friday at the earliest. That meant that Robert had kept Naomi's body with him for 4 days. Eerily, even when he had visited Yolundra, the body had likely been in the car the entire time.
Did you go out to the car when you showed up?
Yes.
Did you get in the car?
Yes.
You were in the front seat?
Yes.
Did you look in the back seat?
No.
Okay, you didn't notice like maybe a raincoat spread out back there?
I mean, I'm sure he had his rain gear because it was supposed to rain.
Okay.
But no, I didn't.
Because he's saying she was in there.
I didn't look in the back seat. I mean, I don't understand why he would let me sit in his car if there was somebody in his car. Like, at no point in our interaction did he ever seem like he was nervous or like he was worried about something or like anything was wrong. Like, there was never a point in us talking that it didn't seem right.
Back in the interrogation room with Robert, investigators attempt to hammer out the final details of his confession. In the process, they make a heartbreaking revelation.
I see the ladies walking, so I throw my raincoat in the car, in the back seat, throw my boots in the back on the floor. Naomi's mom was on the phone, the other lady was just walking with her, and the lady, she stopped me and asked me and said, "Have you seen a little girl?" And when she asked me that, my heart just sank.
Because you knew they were
I already knew they were looking for her.
She's in your back seat.
She's back there in my back seat dead. And I'm like, well, I mean, I can't tell them that she's in my backseat dead. I mean, so I said, no, ma'am, I haven't. And Naomi's mom was like, well, it's my little girl. So you know my little girl? I'm like, yes, ma'am. At that point, she was like, I don't know what time she went missing. She like, her brother doesn't even know. So he was standing out there with her. He was like, he don't even know when she left. And I'm trying to get away as fast as I can because I don't need him to walk into my car.
Tragically, it appears that Shantara Hurry was within feet of her missing daughter's body during the first frantic hours of her search. It was also determined through the medical reports that Naomi was likely killed shortly after she disappeared. Horrifically, it seems Naomi had been dead for almost the entirety of the search.
I told you basically that I done killed the child, but I mean, I didn't know nothing. I didn't try to kill her. I honestly didn't try to kill her.
To gather further evidence on Robert's conduct after the crime and more clues on Naomi's presence in his vehicle, investigators check with his girlfriend, Lauren.
When is the next time you rode in his car?
It's okay. You don't remember.
Okay. Just wondering if you remembered anything that stood out.
That's why we're being so specific about these questions, because, sometimes when we think we know somebody, we really don't. But we have enough at this time to go ahead and charge him with murder. And that's tough. That's really tough, because you have your own family to worry about.
I'm just really sad for you and your little boy, because you don't have anything to do with this, and your sweet little boy doesn't have anything to do with this. I'm so sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Please don't be sorry.
I'm sorry to have to tell you that. Not anything like that,
Well, of course, yeah. Of course. You cannot, do not take any kind of blame yourself. I mean, some people just snap, You don't know what triggers them in their head.
Despite his acknowledgement that he killed Naomi, Robert still continues to spout off denials and can't bring himself to tell the whole truth.
And I have no kind of desire to be with a 12-year-old.
I mean, probably not at the time, but I mean, because she acts like she's 17, 18. Wouldn't you agree that she acts?
The way she came on, she said, yeah. I understand what you're trying to do. Even if you ain't trying to do nothing. I mean, maybe she was just talking to see if she could see my... I mean, I don't know. But I didn't show it to her. And I didn't do anything to her.
As frustrating as Robert's stubborn denial may be, police have enough to charge him with the murder of Naomi Jones, and his interrogation ended soon after. In 2021, a jury declared Robert Howard guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Eventually, Shantara Hurry, Naomi's mother, settled for $2 million in a civil case against the apartment complex owners, on the grounds that they should have made other residents aware that an offender lived part-time on the property. While this is nothing in comparison to the loss of her daughter, we can hope that this might lift some of the pressure on the single mother and ease the family's path going forward.
What is he doing? What is he taking out?
He's taking out. He has gloves. He has gloves in his hands.
He has gloves. Gloves and what else?
The blanket.
Oh my God, that is my blanket.
When 19-year-old Mia Marcano goes missing, it isn't the police who uncover the biggest clues about what happened to her, but her family. In fact, it was through their own investigation that they would not only uncover a suspect, but it was Mia's family who, through their own determination, eventually caught the culprit on camera. In 2021, 19-year-old Mia had just started her second year at Valencia College, where she was pursuing an associate in arts degree. She was balancing her education and employment at the Arden Villas apartments in Orlando, some 200 miles away from her close-knit family in Broward County, Florida. She also lived at the same apartments where she worked. Though they didn't know to be concerned at the time, Mia had recently asked several of her family members if they could come to Orlando for the weekend to see her. When no one could, she instead decided to fly home to Fort Lauderdale for a visit. Though her family was excited to have her back home, there was a chilling reason Mia felt like she needed to get away. Not knowing what was about to unfold, her aunt Simone later recalled this.
I felt like it was a call for help when she asked us all to come this weekend and no one couldn't make it. I feel like it was a call for help and I wasn't there for her.
At 5:06 p.m. Friday, September 24th, 2021, Mia sent a text to say she was waiting for the Uber to take her to the airport before she would fly home. After this, she suddenly stopped responding. All calls to her phone went straight to voicemail, and all text messages said that they weren't delivered. Given that Mia was incredibly close with her family and kept in near constant contact with most of them, they likely noticed something was wrong within mere moments of it happening. However, it wasn't until a few hours later that her family became certain something was amiss. Her grandmother and grandfather later spoke to a police officer and tried to explain her sense of urgency at the time.
I would say about 6 or 6:15. My husband and I left our husband to go out to dinner. I said, strange, Mia hasn't called me. I called, and the phone just said, calling mobile phone. So I figured if it was in the area we were in, it was dark. So I called again, same thing. My stomach started to hurt me. I'm not psychic, but I can always tell when something is wrong because I wouldn't call Mia more than twice and she'd not answer. Even if she has to say, Mama, I'm doing something. Mama, can I call you right back? So I went to the airport. And I waited and waited and waited, and there was no Mia.
When Mia never got off the plane, it confirmed her family's worst fears. Little did they know things were only going to get more twisted from here. They reported her missing soon after, and one of her family members called 911.
I'm calling to find out if I can have a wellness check, please. For the address? Correct. I just wanted to know if an Uber picked her up or not. And then from then, her phone has been completely shut off or dead. We're not sure. We had a friend go over, but they're knocking the door. Nobody's answering. I just want to make sure that she's not there. Okay, I mean, I can get a call from a deputy to go out there, but a deputy is going to do the same thing. He's going to knock on the door, and if no one answers the door, he can't break down the door.
This call and lackluster response from police would set the tone for the investigation. An officer eventually did go to Mia's apartment at Arden Villas, but there was no answer when they knocked on Mia's bedroom door. When they tried to open the door, they found it locked from the inside. They then headed to the window from outside. Please note that the police department made redactions to the video, blacking out what the officer saw inside Mia's room. When they went around the front of the apartment, the officer was met by Mia's cousin Kaylee, who, after realizing that Mia's location was turned off on her phone, decided to take matters into her own hands and start looking for her.
No, she's definitely not in there. But,
she's not in there?
No.
Did you see you couldn't see inside?
No, I saw inside.
Did you see any bags?
I saw 2 suitcases under her
bed. Under her bed?
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm not sure if that's...
I think that was always there.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that...
Did you see a teddy bear on the bed?
I can't remember now.
You want to go?
It was...
Brings it. If she was fine, she would bring
Really?
the teddy bear.
Yeah, the room, it looked clean. Does anything look out of place?
The window, yeah. Open the window. Yeah, you can see that window is open? Yeah, he opened it.
Ultimately, the officer left. Law enforcement would fail to recognize the urgency of Mia's case until later, perhaps only when it was already too late. With this less than helpful response from police, Mia's cousin Kaylee looked elsewhere for help.
and the security guard, Jay, was here. And we approached him, asked him if he knew anything, and he said yes, that he was here when the police were there. And we said, okay, like if you could please just accompany us so you could tell us about what happened when they were there.
Because they knew Mia's door was locked, Kaylee and Jay headed to the window that the officer had looked through.
Once we heard that the window was unlocked, we automatically knew that that was off because my cousin had installed the window locks on all of their windows to prevent anyone from opening it from the outside, especially with them being on the first floor.
Right.
When we went up to the back, he showed us the window, and we, of course, tried to avoid touching anything because we didn't want to interfere with anything. He did mention that he saw fingerprints and that he took some himself with some tape, because when he asked the police officers to take some that were there earlier, they said that they were not going to because it wasn't that type of case, I guess.
Later, the security guard would allege that when he tried to hand over the fingerprints, the deputy actually laughed and said, "This isn't a high-priority case." However, this allegation has never been proven. Jay's immediate frustration for how the scene and Mia's case was handled was palpable.
And now I'm getting mad because one of y'all deputies came out here, did not do the job that he was supposed to do. Me being a security guard, I should not have had to do the stuff that I did to have an officer come out here and look me in my face and tell me to keep the evidence that was lifted off of the windowsill. Oh, a couple weeks from now, maybe we'll need it. No, you're supposed to take that now.
As strange as it was that the locks had been removed from Mia's window, it was even stranger that through the window, Kaylee could see that Mia's bedroom door had actually been barricaded from the inside by a small bookcase. Then she noticed something else that would later become integral.
While we were back there, I was looking at the parking lot, the woody area behind with the fence. We were like, why is there a chair behind the fence? He said, oh, that's been there for a long time. And I was like, it's kind of weird, though, because the placement of it looks directly into their windows. It's kind of at a slight angle. So that was a little bit concerning. But he was like, no, that chair's been there for a long time. So I was like, okay, no problem. While we were back there, he mentioned another thing that was odd to him was that most people in the guest parking lot don't park, like parallel park in this one corner, which made sense to me because there are parking spots that go straight there. So if you're parallel parked back there, they can't get out. So he said what was weird to him is that there was a large tire track.
This all seemed to hint that some awful fate had befallen Mia, but what exactly remained to be seen.
Into the apartment, we all put on gloves and again asked Jay to come with us just to, I guess with the name security, he made us feel more secure having him there. We went into her room, avoided touching anything, and we immediately noticed that her room was in a disarray, very out of character from Mia.
However, even more shocking was the sight of something still in her room.
She has her decorative pillows, her sleeping pillows, and then, of course, the king of the world, her teddy. So Teddy usually sits right on the bed if he's not going with her wherever it is that she's going. If she's going to work, there's times that Teddy goes to work. Every trip, Teddy goes. Teddy's been on vacation with other people. Teddy has lived his life.
With this in mind, her family knew she wouldn't simply have left the bear behind. And yet Teddy was still in her room. This meant one thing. Mia hadn't left. She wasn't not answering her phone. And her phone wasn't simply dead. She had been taken. But the teddy bear wasn't the most concerning thing discovered in Mia's room, as Kaylee explains.
When we walked in, the cubby that was blocking the door was in the walkway, and there was, her chain was busted. She usually wears two chains, one that says her name, and then a second one that has a heart pendant. So I know the chain is the heart pendant one because the pendant was missing.
Yeah.
And the Mia one would have two separate pieces. So we saw that her bangles, she has a lot of bangles and they were given to her as gifts from like old family friends. So they're really sentimental for her. So to see them on the floor was a lot. To see them bent that way, I was like, okay, there's definitely something wrong here. Then we also noticed the blood on the pillow and we were thinking like, of course you look at it and you're like thinking, well, maybe it could be old. But then we're like, but she would have tried to get that out, or she would have at least put a pillowcase on to cover it up because you're not going to be sleeping on a naked, bloody pillow.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit concerning as well. After that, we continued to look around the room and found little bits and pieces that just kind of indicated that there was some type of struggle. The bed was moved. We could see the grooves in the carpet were different. They were here, and then the legs were pushed off. The bed head was kind of crooked. And then while examining underneath the bed, someone flipped over the rug. She has a blue furry rug, and found a box cutter. When we saw that, we were like, okay, that definitely can't be Mia's.
The box cutter would turn out to be an important clue, as would the item they found in the trash, a single rose. Already feeling like Mia's disappearance wasn't receiving the kind of urgent attention they knew it needed, the rest of her family traveled the same day she was reported missing to gather at the Arden Villas apartments to continue the search, knowing that this was the last place she'd been seen. They would soon have a shocking and disturbing interaction. It's unclear exactly what happened in the moments prior, but one of Mia's family members began recording when someone else showed up, claiming to also be looking for Mia. The person recording kept their phone either in their pocket or their hand covered the camera, as we can't yet see what was happening until later. We can, however, hear the mysterious person talking with various members of Mia's family, including her father.
I'm too old for it. This is her friend Tati. Tati knows our relationship. I promise you. Nothing like that. Tati woke me up out of my sleep to come here to see if I saw anything, because we didn't know you guys were here. You're not hearing about this for the first time tonight. Yes, I was home.
You still have text messages?
Me and her haven't talked for like a few weeks. Like I told you, I try to fall back. I'm older than her, so I don't even have her number now. All serious.
The man speaking is 27-year-old Armando Manuel Caballero. Armando worked as a maintenance man at Arden Villas, and he met Mia when the two became co-workers. In fact, he'd started at Arden Villas right after Mia, around 2 months prior to her disappearance. Now, around 3:45 a.m., approximately 10 hours after Mia was last seen, and though he lived at a different apartment complex, Armando was unexpectedly back at Arden Villas. This obviously struck Mia's family as odd, but the entire interaction would only become more concerning.
Where's her roommate? I'll even say it. Because I heard you had a recent conversation with her. Like,
Though it isn't shown in the footage, Simone, Mia's aunt, witnessed something fall out of Armando's pocket when he first got out of his car, something that looked like a key fob. This would turn out to be crucial later.
I was leaking her wall and I dropped off the vacuum because I was involved. Other than that, it's just work. You never went in the apartment to fix anything before I have, yes. We had to do all the apartments. But I noticed a lot of stuff because I set up the apartment myself. I know. And I set up certain things. I seen you move. Yeah, and I seen you already too. I seen you be. Trust me, bro. I got all good vibes. I'm not like that. Nah, I wouldn't even came out here. Yeah, but from what I'm hearing, I didn't hear nothing good about you yet. Really? I promise you.
What Armando didn't know was that because Mia was so close to her family, they immediately recognized him as someone she'd told them about. And because of what she told them, they were likely suspicious when he showed up at Arden Villas.
Been sending her text messages like that, like trying to tell her, express your feelings for her. As a regular thing, when the property was... How is it a regular thing if you just said that you're older than her? Why is it a regular thing if you're expressing your feelings to her? Why is that? How is that a regular thing?
Why'd you cash out for that amount of money?
She said she had to help you. She had to help me? My daughter would never tell you that. On my soul, she told me that. She would never tell you that. On my soul, she said that. But you just told me that you haven't spoken to her for so long. Yeah, because that was a while ago. That was a while ago.
Was this week.
That was a while ago.
I'm in her cash app. That was this week.
You see, Mia had complained about Armando. Though he told her family he didn't have her number and claimed to have last spoken to Mia a few weeks ago, it would soon be revealed that that wasn't even remotely true. Mia often took screenshots of the things Armando was texting her and sent it either to her family members or to her friends. This included when, in the week before she went missing, Armando sent her a random Cash App payment for the amount of $600. Though Mia declined the money, she sent a screenshot of the message Armando included with the payment to a group text with other Arden Villas employees, titled "Off the Casa." Armando wrote to Mia, "Mama's good morning. I don't want you to feel any way about me giving you this. Like I said from before, you grew on me, and I feel I didn't have too much of a reason to be in your face unless I was making a difference, because I'm just a man and that's how I see it. From hearing you vent about your fam situation and hearing about how you're not able to live your life fully because of the difference in responsibility, and from the first few times I heard that, I've been planning and wanted to bless you. But it's not much, but it's yours. Enjoy it however you like. I don't want it back. Don't send it back. That was money I was putting up from turn to spend on dates or gifts for you. But I'd rather just give you the money so you could do what you actually need or want with it. Her friend responded to the screenshot. It just sucks that he works with you because I would keep it, but if you don't do what he wants, he gonna act crazy. Mia's friend likely had no idea how true that was. Armando had an interesting explanation for the Cash App payment.
Because her mother didn't pay her rent no more. And when we was doing time, we've been friends already since June. And I know Rashid seen me, her, and Rashid chill. There's nothing there. I never came after hours. I never bothered her.
Did they take a statement from you earlier on?
I just found out she was missing.
You saw her today?
Just found out, but I found out a few hours ago.
And you saw her today?
At work, yes.
Have you done any work inside that apartment?
Not recently.
So when?
So who's the maintenance person that was in the apartment yesterday? Or 2 days ago? Somebody was maintenance.
You had to be there recently because you told me that you bought the fan there, so you were there recently.
This is an integral question. As Armando was in maintenance at Arden Villas, he had an assigned key fob, which could access every single apartment and that worked during business hours. For after-hours maintenance, an on-call key fob was shared among the maintenance staff, with the device in the possession of whomever was on call at the time. 3 days earlier, on Tuesday, September 21st, Armando had delivered some fans to Mia's apartment, as there'd been flooding. The maintenance request had been legitimate, but the troubling issue of Armando's access to her apartment hadn't escaped Mia's family members.
So you were there recently.
Tuesday.
So that was
So
this
you were in this apartment on Tuesday,
I didn't
right?
do work. I just dropped the vacuum on.
Bro, something ain't adding up, bro.
She had a leak from her living room to her room.
Coincidentally, like that just happened. You know what I'm saying? That just happened. That leak just all of a sudden just happened just out of the blue. Only in her room and in the thing.
I cannot. There's nothing I can physically do to do that.
All right, and the person who went in today too went through the window too. You know what I'm saying? All right, but you got access to that place though, right or wrong? Right or wrong?
Right
or wrong? You have access to it, right?
You have access to the apartments, right? As a maintenance worker, you have access to the apartments.
Yeah.
And what is your protocol when you're going into the apartments? You guys just knock and go in?
We knock 2 or 3 times. We wait. Nobody answers. We open the door. We knock again. We stab the door. We wait. Nobody answers. Then enter the apartment.
As police would soon find out, Armando isn't telling the truth here. Mia's family member, who has been recording this strange encounter, finally raises their phone and captures Armando in the footage. He can be seen standing next to an officer.
As of right now, you have sent obsessive texts to Mia. We have all seen the text. You talked about giving her your life savings. You cash out her money, and you claim that you weren't in touch.
Who told her
It's
gave her
on
life
text.
savings? I never
As a
said
matter of
that.
fact, we're going to get a police report to pull your phone records if that's the case.
As it would turn out, because Mia had sent so many of the texts from Armando to her friends and family, the police didn't need to pull Armando's phone records to see that something was off.
There's evidence of obsession. You're fascinated with
It's
Mia.
not only from my side, so don't try to make this.
No one's saying that. It takes
She's not here to defend herself right now, so
obviously
we gotta
she's
talk to
missing.
you.
So we're talking to you, who've been going
Completely
back and
respect
forth
that. I
on
understand
text.
that. That is your family.
Right.
But until we figure out what's going on, just don't beat me up.
Nobody ain't beating you up.
If I'm guilty,
But
why would I
you put yourself in the middle right here. You brought yourself over here.
The entire interaction with Armando out front of Arden Villas was odd, but what Armando said next did nothing but raise suspicions against him.
I've never done nothing bad to me. Where's the... Never done it.
The videos capturing this incident end abruptly after this, but Mia's aunt describes what happened next.
Armando got in his car. The officer never searched the vehicle. I don't know if there's procedure. He never looked in the vehicle or touched anything, told him to wind down with nothing. The vehicle took off. They went to the maintenance room. They came back. Armando then left.
After driving away from the officer and Mia's family members, Armando was seen again driving around the buildings with his lights off. One of Mia's family members noticed something else that was incredibly concerning about Armando.
Yeah, I noticed. So it almost looked like he had bronzer on because this area was like, it was puffed up and slightly bruised, like reddish. But how it was dark in the night when the light, you could see, when skin is stretched to a point that it shines because with the swelling.
Knowing what they did of his fixation with Mia, his return to the Arden Villas apartments the same day that Mia went missing raised red flags for her family. Little did they know, Armando was hiding another, even more disturbing secret. The next day, there was still no sign of Mia anywhere, and it was only now that the police would begin to take the case seriously, though slowly. Someone from the Harris County Sheriff's Office even reached out to the Orange County Sheriff's Office about Mia's case, and there appeared to be a distinct lack of urgency.
Okay, I mean, it hasn't been turned over to a detective yet because it takes up to 5 business days.
Oh, to consider someone missing?
No, I mean, there is a case number already attached to this, and there is a case. I'm just saying that they don't have it assigned to somebody. But if we make contact with her and we run her name, we know she'll be missing because she's in the system as missing.
So who normally has? So you have a missing persons division?
This is considered a missing persons, and they're not open today. They'll be open on Monday.
As investigators finally started to look deeper into the case, they spoke with Marlon, Mia's father.
So my theory as to what happened is that she was in the bathroom, or maybe she was now getting home. Either she was in the bathroom or she was now getting home, and the person was under the bed. Okay. The person was under the bed, and so they had the box cutter and everything. Mm-hmm. And either when she came in, they startled her, or when she was coming out of the bathroom. You understand? The person who we suspect is somebody who works here. Mm-hmm. I heard about it. Okay.
Her family also gathered again, this time inside Arden Villas.
The police officers came and they said they weren't going to do anything but file a missing person report. She's an adult. They can't do an Amber Alert because she's over 18. But according to that officer, this is a typical college room that doesn't seem to look obstructed or tampered with. He said they weren't going to do much until a couple days pass and it becomes more.
If you haven't got any information, if you haven't heard from her.
As news of Mia's disappearance spread, calls flooded in as people tried to give any helpful information to aid in the search.
And what do you want to report?
We just got a message saying that a girl had been missing since 5 p.m. yesterday, and me and my roommate around, I'd say maybe 7 p.m., and we heard a girl and a guy, and they were screaming, but it didn't sound like good screams. It sounded like really bad screams. And we actually went downstairs to see if we could find anything, and there we heard a woman and a man screaming at each other, arguing in an apartment on the first floor. I don't know if this would be helpful information, but it was something that stood out to us last night. And after hearing about a girl going missing today, I figured I should report it just in case it could help.
All of this was helpful, but Mia's family was already sure they had a suspect, Armando. Mia's family had been right. It did appear that Armando was obsessed with Mia. In one screen-recorded video, it can be seen that Armando was sending her long, multiple messages. Part of these messages say, quote, "You drew back, which I understand, because you a woman and you don't know me that well, so you need your boundaries. I know I come off strong and crazy." After screen-recording the messages, Mia sent the video to a group chat, writing, "When does it stop?" The issue of Armando's text messages would come up again and again as police began interviewing her friends.
And Jasmine, can you tell me what happened in a group chat between you, Mia, and the other individual?
Yes. So basically we have a group chat where we talk about normal things that are happening. But in this chat, there's just been multiple times where Mia like will send over screenshots like we do of like people that we're talking to or just things like that. Sometimes complaining or just having issues with like Armando sending her long text messages out of the blue, emotional messages to her even when she was barely giving him like real responses back, sending her long emotional messages, getting upset at her for not responding to him, all types of things. And from the start, her making it clear that although she did find him attractive or whatever the case may be, she has never necessarily wanted anything serious with him. They have never dated. They've never been involved in any aspect like that.
That detail didn't seem to deter Armando. In one text to her friends, Mia wrote, "Then if I don't respond, we know he getting the paragraphs ready."
I always found it weird with that because I'm like, she's young, like she's 19, she's a freshman. I always found him to be weird because I'm like, this girl is like a young girl. She's not trying to be tied down with you, like, and she made that very clear to him. So that's just the thing for me.
Did they ever have any altercations with each other or any kind of
fights?
Yeah.
They never had any fights. He was very much a like messagey type of person. Like I never had any situations in regards to like her telling me like, oh, they got into like actual altercation. She did tell me that recently he tried to like make not a scene, but like be petty towards her at work. He said it in a way like it was drawing attention because people were kind of like, dang, like, why'd you say it like that towards her or whatever? And she was like, in the chat we were talking about, like, that's crazy that he's trying to like show out and call you a weirdo and stuff when he's the one that sends you long, dramatic text messages every single day.
Mia sent a text to the group chat saying, "Y'all, I'm confused," and a screenshot of a message Armando sent her saying, "I don't got any more patience with you. You honestly showed me the type of person you are. Like you said, people fall for your looks. Well, I seen the type of person you are. I don't got the energy or the fakeness to tolerate giving myself to you even as a friend. We two different kind of people." Armando also texted me a quote, "Just leave me alone if you don't have no intent to show any significance in my life."
So Tuesday would have been the 21st. So September 21st was the last. And can you tell me what that message said?
Yes, so we were talking like normal. She said, "I saw Armando just now. He had to bring me the blower and he was like, I think I cleared my mind enough and I'm ready to follow you back on Instagram." Because like I said, he would get overly emotional and obsessive over her. So like if she was posting and doing things and not talking to him, he would get upset and send her messages about that. So then she sent a screenshot after he left of what he said. And he basically said, "Everything else burnt out, but respectfully, I can't lie. I would have loved to taste you or see how it was at least once." And she said, "Y'all help me, what the F?" Like asking what she should say to that. And I was like, what do you say to that when it's coming from a crazy person?
Right.
And she said, "No, for real." I'm like, whoa. And I said, I would be like, "Let's keep it cute, friend," because I don't know what to say. And I basically said that because I was like basically like deflecting from the talk because you guys said like we're just friends.
Armando replied to that text from Mia saying, "Right, whatever, you out-cooled me. I really didn't take no L. Why you trying to be so cool? I get it, it's over. I been knew it was you making it seem like I'm making a mistake. So all the way through I'ma let it go, just holler at you at work, bucko." But it seemed that Armando didn't take her rejection well. Mia's friend Rashid shared a similar story.
He started sending her, like, not, like, just, like, paragraphs. It was, I could swipe and read it. And, it was so much to read that I was like, dang, like, I didn't obviously read through all of it, but she would show me, like, some of the stuff she was saying in some of the paragraphs and, how, like, and I was telling her, like, he's crazy, whatever. And, he was buying her all this stuff. He was giving her stuff, like every week. He got her, like, these flowers that were in her room, the blue flowers, because she had, I guess he overheard, like, a conversation that she wanted him or something, or I saw it on her phone or something.
In another screenshot Mia shared, Armando wrote to her, "And you ain't showed one concern of even giving me the opportunity to gain ground with you. If anything, every time I felt like I got closer to you the next day or the next hour, you acting colder. This ain't the grounds to the beginning of something good. I haven't been nothing but frustrated and confused the majority of the time." Mia wrote back, "Yo, I spoke to yesterday perfectly fine. Then I went out like, damn, why do you always have to act like this? Like, can you just chill?" Armando texted back, If I have no reason to act like this, then you tell me one situation where you did any gesture to validate me, small or big, to make me feel special. A bagel, a lunch, a real compliment. At least a real statement of what you think about me, because I'm really starting to think you cold-hearted. Armando's obsessive behavior wasn't just over texting, as Rashid explains.
One day I opened up my apartment when Mia was staying there, and he was outside doing something. And I remember it because I opened the door to open the door for her, and I was going to lock it behind her, and he was there, and she was like, oh, hey. He was outside my apartment.
Just standing there?
Now, he was working on something, but, like, it just progressively got weirder and weirder, and whatever. After, like, time started passing, and she started seeing, like, who he really was and stuff, she told me, like, she was kind of nervous that he had the keys to her apartment. And one time she mentioned that she left her house one time, the AC was working perfectly. And she came back a little while after, and the AC was broke. She was stuck on 79. And I know, like, the maintenance people, like, I know it's easy to mess with the AC, you feel me? And he was the on-call person. And so I'm thinking that he, like, messed with the AC because she would have to call the emergency line, which he has to respond to because it's after hours. So she said that she didn't want to call him, so she went to get another maintenance guy to come fix the AC. Mm-hmm.
As Rashid shared, Mia had a good reason to be worried.
Some of my other friends have told me, like, he said stuff to them, like, she found one of my other female friends found him, like, in their apartment. He was like, what are you doing in here? And he was like, oh, I'm fixing something. I remember he had said something to her. I think it was, like, along the lines of, I just want to, like, take a nap in your bed or something like that. Like, it's weird, you feel me?
Yeah, that is weird.
After speaking to another resident at Arden Villas, it seemed that there was a pattern in Armando's behavior.
I had just gotten out of the shower too, and I heard knocking and maintenance. I didn't want to answer it because I didn't put in a report. And then I heard the door open and I heard it close. And then when I went out, they were still out there knocking, but I did hear the door open and close. So I got dressed, opened the door, asked him if he needed anything. He said, "Did you put in a report for your dishwasher to be fixed?" I told him no.
Perhaps finally realizing that Armando needed to be investigated, police spoke to his boss, Lemuel Arroyo.
How would you describe Armando?
I would say very, very peaceful guy, very easy to manage. You know, I was very happy with their performance. To keep eye contact, sometimes avoid eye contact. Now all this going on made me think, why sometimes when we're talking, he trying not look at me? I don't know.
Although he was known at work to be private, Armando had been in a bit of trouble before. Years ago, after setting off firecrackers in his college dorm, he lost his football scholarship as a result. With his job at Arden Villas, he was attempting to start fresh. Friday, the same day that Mia went missing, Lemuel noticed that Armando's body language and behavior was off when he received his work uniform.
But then when he left, he was shaking, even without we knowing all this was about to happen, you know?
And you've never seen that before out of him?
No.
Noel, who worked in maintenance with Armando, also saw Armando acting strange on Friday.
So he was more quiet, you thought?
He was more quiet.
Was that...
I asked him, yo, you okay? He said, yeah.
You said the change you noticed was that he just seemed more quiet.
With this in mind, investigators take a look at the records of who used the maintenance key fob. While the officer only turns on the audio of her body cam a few seconds before the following footage begins, it appears they're talking about Armando.
My biggest concern is he has right now a fob that can get him access to every apartment because he's on call. Mm-hmm. So I was going to have one of my employees just erase the fob, but the only way to do it is to literally go to each and every apartment door with a cancel key, because unless we have the physical fob, we can't erase it. You have to go to each individual lock and do what's called an interrogation report, and then load that to the computer, and it gives you the lock history of everything.
The worker from Arden Villas eventually gets the report on the lock history for Mia's apartment.
This is that. That's my on-call maintenance fob at 4:34.
So that's before, correct?
Yes, but I don't understand why he would have been there.
Is it Armando?
Yeah.
To most, this would seem like particularly damning evidence, but it only got worse. While checking out an apartment that was set up the same as Mia's, though not her actual room, the officer asks a chilling question.
So he accessed her room at 4:30, correct? There's no service supposed to be in her room or anything like that, right?
And I don't remember if I saw that he left with that fob. She would have been home, so if he was just hanging out, now I'm like worried. What if he was literally waiting for her? They've got my head all screwed up. I cannot believe it.
Because of the record of the key fob, it was clear that 30 minutes before Mia's work shift had ended, Armando had entered her apartment. And it also seemed that he had never left, or at least there was no record of him leaving. Mia's key was then used to open the door at 5:06, and as the worker suspects, it looks like Armando could have been waiting for her. By reviewing the security footage, investigators spotted Armando driving a golf cart near Mia's apartment, which coincided with the times the maintenance key fob showed it was used on her front door. They also uncovered what they believed to be the last image of Mia as she walked to her apartment just before she went missing. While there was the possibility of an innocent explanation, on Thursday, September 23rd, Armando had asked Mia if she would have time to talk about something mysterious on Friday, the day she went missing. Mia had replied, "What do you want to talk about?" Armando wrote back, "It's nothing big, but if your day is busy, it's whatever." Mia replied, "I'll let you know how my day goes." However, there was one other piece of evidence that didn't quite fit. 2 hours after Mia went into her apartment, Armando called the Arden Villa's office staff and asked to be led into the front gate as he was responding to a maintenance call that was made around 7 p.m. Just 5 minutes later, someone used